assignment. So once you open Illustrator, go to Create New. I want you to change the name to your last name underscore wow. Let's start with print last name underscore wow. Change to inches. 8.5 by 11 is a standard that is fine for today. Make sure that it is landscape orientation. Once you have that, go ahead and create. Now what we're going to do is we're going to use our type tool. So we're going to start out with type. Click the type tool option, top one, and you notice there is a square around my cursor. I'm going to click and type in my name. So I want you all to type in your name in all caps. The example I have in the PDF, it has wow, but for fun, I want you to put your name. So I just selected my text to be able to change the font and the size. By doing that, I'm still on my type tool. If you notice out here I have the box, that's going to give me a new type tool. I don't want a new type tool, I want to just highlight the text. So I'm going to hover over the end of my text. Once that box goes away, I'm going to click and drag over to highlight my text. I have in my properties panel characters. If you cannot find character, you can always go to window and go down to type and character. That will open your character box. For this project, I want you to choose a big, bold display font. So we have this one, a lot of fun options. I'm going to go with this one for now. And I'm going to enlarge it to 72 and see where we're at. That is still a lot smaller than I want. So with the arrow keys, I'm going to click up. You can also just go in here and type it in as well. So I'm at 150 points. I think that is a really good size. You can change the spacing between the letters. I don't want to change it too much because I do want some overlapping. Once I go to my selection tool, my text is no longer highlighted. I'm going to move this around so it's in the center. And I'm going to copy. So Command C or Control C and Command V as in Victor or Control Victor, that's going to copy that layer, and I'm going to drag that off to the side. The reason being is we're going to change this into a shape, and we will no longer be able to change the type. So if we mess up and we need to go back, we have the original we can go back to. Now I'm going to select this box. Make sure that your text is not highlighted. We don't want it to look like this. We want just the box selected. We're going to go to type and create outlines. This changes our text to shapes. We now have shapes to work with. And they are all grouped together. So if I click on one, they're all going to move. But we want to work on just one at a time. So I'm going to go to Object and Ungroup. Now each individual one I can move by itself. So now is the fun part. Now we are going to go ahead and change these shapes and make this unique. So I took out my original M for Miss, and I'm going to make the M for the bottom really large so it can go for both of these. And actually I'm going to click with my selection tool, click in the white area, drag over the two of these, move it down with my arrow key so it goes directly down. So I'm going to bring that leading closer together. Then I'll click on my original M and now bring that down to where that is lined up. So with our direct selection tool, the nice thing about creating shapes now, the direct selection tool, we can click one anchor point. So I clicked on this anchor point to tell the computer, I want to move this anchor point. Now I can click and drag it to create unique things. So I'm going to go ahead and select both this anchor point and this anchor point by clicking and dragging over both of them. Or I can click on one, hold down Shift, and click on the other. And I can move these pieces out. So I want you to have fun, be creative with this. I'm actually going to click with my mouse and bring both of them. I want them both to go all the way out here to the end of my D. I'm liking the looks of that, all right. And then I'm going to click on here. I want to straighten this out a little bit. I don't like how that curve is. I'm going to go back to my direct selection tool, click on this anchor point, and here's my handle. So I can move that handle, or I can bring it all the way in to create a nice point. So once again, I'm going to bring that handle in to make it nice and straight on the end there. And then I'm going to click and drag over both of these and bring them up a little bit to level them out. This is how you can create some fun and unique text. I'm going to click and drag over the tops of all of these letters, and I want to grab the top of that as well, all of those anchor points, so they move together. Actually, I'm not liking what that's doing, so I'm just saying Command or Control Z, going back to where I was originally. And I am going to go to my selection tool, select each of these by holding down Shift and just dragging them up like that. So let's see what else we can do for fun. I'm going to select, go back to my direct selection tool, click and drag over the top two anchor points on my L, bring that up to my S. I'm going to bring the top of this L up a little bit. Alright, so I think this is pretty fun. We did a little bit of uniqueness to our text, changing the text from the original. I'm going to click and Control Shift on both the R, bring this R down. And then this one, and bring it over. And I am going to actually bring this over as well. Just make this silly. Okay. So now that I have that done, I'm going to go back to my selection tool, click and drag over all of them, center them back up. And now we have our unique text. Ideally, I want you to manipulate all of the letters so that they are completely different from the original text. Just for the sake of time, I'm not going to do any more on mine. But I'm going to select all of them with the selection tool. I clicked in the white area, click and drag over the whole entire thing. Command or Control C, Command or Control V on your keyboard to copy this. This is an important part of this process. Now I'm going to bring this one over to the right side. You can also copy and paste by going Edit, Copy, and Paste. Now I'm going to select my bottom layer, and I'm going to click on the stroke. Over in my properties panel, I have stroke right here in the appearance. If the appearance is not showing up, you can go to Window and open up Appearance. So I'm going to give it a stroke, and I'm going to check. I want to make sure my fill color is black and my stroke color is black. You can do that by clicking on here, making sure they're both black. Or you can double click on them on the left hand side and make sure they're both black. And I see that they're actually not complete black, which is 6 zeros. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to solid black. There we go. Now we're going to move that stroke, and we want to make that stroke to where we have completely filled in all of the holes in the middle of our text. If you notice, I have a part that goes off really far here and up here. I'm going to fix those in a minute because I don't want those on my final one. If by filling it too much you're losing some of the detail, if you want to bring it down to where you have some detail here, you can bring it down and we can fill that in a minute. So now I'm going to go to Object, Path, and Outline Stroke. So I want to outline stroke. Well, notice when I do this, it now outline the edge of the stroke. Okay? Then I'm going to go to Object and Expand. Once I have that, I want to fill in any holes that I have showing. So I'm going to go to my rectangle tool. I still have a black fill, and I am going to drag over that area that I have in the middle. Once I have that, go to your selection tool, click on the white area, click and drag over the entire thing, and this looks like a mess. We're going to create this into one shape. Go to your Pathfinder tool under Properties. If you do not see your Pathfinder tool, go to Window, open your Pathfinder tool. Once you have your Pathfinder tool, you're going to select the top left option, which is Click to Unite. Now we have one complete shape. Once we have that shape, we can work on the color. But like I said, I did not like this point that came out due to this part of the M when we did our stroke. So I'm going to go to my pen tool, click and hold, and delete anchor point. So I'm going to simply delete this anchor point out of my shape so I don't have that point coming out. Now go back to your selection tool. With this shape selected, I want you to have fun with colors. So double click on your fill color and create a super cool color. So I'm going to do some green and the teal, I think. So I'm going to click, actually I'm going to do like a darker teal, and then here we go. Darker teal in the background. For my fill color, for my stroke color, double click on there and let's do a pop of green. Go over to our stroke, and we want to make that stroke a little bit thicker, and we'll work with that in a minute. Now with the selection tool, I want to select my original shapes. So notice they're ungrouped. So when I clicked on the M, it was all by itself, and when I go to move it, it would move by itself. So I want to make sure I click off, click and drag over all of them, go to Object, Group them together, and then drag them over to on top. Once we have them where we want them, it looks like it is on the bottom, so I'm going to go to Object, Arrange, Bring to Front, double click on my fill color, and I want my fill color to be that teal, really nice bright teal, and give it a tiny stroke, tiny black stroke, to make sure that I can see the difference between those letters. Alright, so there is our wow text. Last thing we're going to do, second to last thing we're going to do, we're going to go to our pen tool. Click and hold, grab your pen tool. Make sure that we have no stroke. Double click on your fill color, and I want white, which are 6 Fs. So we have white fill, no stroke with our pen tool. We are going to create some highlights. So really simple highlights. You're just clicking, and the corners, I want them really nice and tight. And I actually think because my text is so boxy, I'm going to keep the highlights really boxy. So I'm not even clicking and dragging at all. I'm just clicking, giving some really hard lines because my letters are pretty hard lines. So I'm just clicking. If you chose a rounded one or this letter is rounded, I'm going to click and drag that curve, click a hard point, go to the original, click and drag to get a nice curve on the S. So once you have all of your letters done with your highlights, you are going to go and do one last thing. You're going to select the bottom layer, go up to Effects. In the effects, we have Illustrator effects that work only on vector items. We have Photoshop effects that work on both vector and raster. But we're going to go to the Illustrator effects, Stylize, and Drop Shadow. Make sure you click Preview so you can see what you're doing. You can change the opacity. You can change how far it is off of your text or how far up or down it goes. So control that lighting, where the lighting is hitting your letters, wherever you decided to put your highlights. You're going to have the drop shadow going the opposite way, like the shadow is being formed from your highlights. When you are done, you can delete your original text. We did not need that, thankfully. And then you're going to go to File, Save As. You already have your name selected. Save it as an Illustrator file for yourself so you can change it later. Save it. Then you're going to go to File, Save As again, and this time change it to the Adobe PDF for me for grading. So you're going to save it. Make sure you're telling the computer where you want it to go so you can find it to upload. Then save the PDF and upload that to Focus. Have fun. I cannot wait to see your creations. And make sure you're only using your first name. Capitalize it. And use a bold display font. Have fun. Have a great day.